Hey there, my name is Dov DeKeyser, and this is another Pic It Perfect tutorial. This lesson is based on a photograph that I shot for Falafel Salam, who specialize in gourmet Middle Eastern cuisine, and they're based out of Seattle, Washington. So if you're in the area, I recommend checking them out. Their food is really good. Now, I shot the first lesson based on this image last week, and that was how to manually merge two exposures to create a manual HDR. In this lesson, I'm going to be talking about how to remove dust without using healing and cloning and stuff like that. But before that, I want to get into a little bit of the layer composition. So the bottom two layers on this layer composition in the layer panel are the HDR that I merged together last week. And then layer one, the layer right above that, that is the merged copy of those two layers put together. So I merged it up. The top layer, it says plan, and that's what it is. It's a plan of what I want to do for the image, the entire edit. And then the layer 1 copy and layer 1 copy 2, they're just copies of the first layer, and you'll see why I'll need them in a moment. So let's get started. I have a really neat trick. Well, it's not my trick, but what I do is I like to, instead of healing or cloning each single dust particle and wasting my time forever, I like to use the dust and scratches filter. So to do that, I'm going to go on filter, noise, and dust and scratches. And here, I'm going to zoom in to about 100% just so we get a feeling here. Let's look over here of where and what we're doing. Now, basically, the higher the radius, the smoother Photoshop will make our layer, right? And look at that. Wow, it's way too smooth. And then if I add threshold, I basically return detail to the image. Now, I don't want to do this like that. Usually what I do is I have a low radius, maybe, up to 13 max, and I have a higher threshold, maybe twice the amount. I don't know. It really depends on the image itself. In this case, and then what I do is I work wide and I just get rid of a little bit, and then I mask out a lot of the image and I work my way up. So let's start with, say, a radius of 2 and a threshold. All right, this kind of looks good. If I turn it on and off, see, I'm getting rid of a lot of detail. Sorry, of a lot of this dust, and I, at least in the cloth area, I keep a lot of detail. Let's look at the knife. How much detail do I lose over here? Well, not much, and not much detail. It's detail that I'm actually willing to get rid of. I actually want to get rid of a lot of that detail. All right, same thing in the spoon. It's fine by me. But on the other side, this area, the spoon, all right, I definitely don't want it on the cutting board. This kind of ruins the specular highlights that I have in the cutting board and all of the detail over here. Let's look on this. All right, this is not bad. This is actually all right. I'm going to keep it, even though I lose some of my specular highlights with the food. But I actually think it looks a little bit better that way. All right, so let's see over the salt. No, I do not want to do that over the salt. And the lemon, it doesn't make a big difference. All right, so I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to zoom outwards. And I'm going to create a mask. And I'm going to mask out the areas that I don't want it to work on. So I definitely didn't want it to work on the cutting board. And I'm just drawing black over the area of the mask that I don't want to edit. And you see it's really bringing back all this information. And here we go. And if you look, this really does get rid of a bunch of this dust. All right, but it's not enough. I mean, I still have a lot of dust that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to turn on this layer over here, and I'm going to do that again. Filter, noise, dust and scratches. But this time I'm going to do it with a higher radius and a little bit less of a threshold. And I'm going to try to get rid of all this stuff over here. All right, this actually looks good. Though if you look at it, if I turn off on and off the preview, I really destroy a lot of the information in the spoon and in the knife, and I'm going to have to do this a lot more focused than before. So I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to create a mask, and I'm going to invert this mask. And now I'm going to draw only over the areas that I actually want to fix up. And I'll raise my flow. I want to quickly go over what I did in this edit, in this entire edit. So first, I copied my image, or what I had for my image, to a layer above. And then I copied that a couple of times, and I shut off the top two layers. And then I added a dust and scratches filters to the bottom layer. And I did the first dust and scratches filter had a low radius and a high threshold, and I used it throughout as much of the image as I could to get off the dust and the scratches throughout most of the image. And then I added a mask over the areas that I didn't want. Then the next layer above that, I created another dust and scratches filter with a much higher radius and a lower threshold, and I worked much more focused. I created a mask onto that layer. I inverted the mask, and I drew in white on the areas that I wanted to fix, which in this case was this blue matte mainly. And that's pretty much it. After that, the only thing I have to do is to check to make sure that everything works out, and that's what I'm going to do right here in a moment when I'm done drawing. Alright, so now that we're pretty much done drawing, I want to back up and just take a look at the entire image and see like the before and after of what we created. So, yeah, this is good. I get rid of all this junk, and just so you see, I copied this layer quite a few times. Now look at the before and after over here. So we made a big difference. Thanks for watching Pic It Perfect. I'll see you next week. Please subscribe to the channel and tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, so that we can do better or do good the same way, I guess. Later. See you next week.